Marin kept the tides in a ledger the size of a ship's sail. He sat in a narrow office carved into a cliff, where salt spray tapped the window like impatient fingers. Each morning he unlocked rows of brass drawers full of tide tables, temperature readings, and small, stubborn maps. He did this with a fatigue so constant it felt like a second heartbeat. He could have hired a flotilla of assistants, algorithms, apprentices, oceanographers, but he preferred the quiet of his calculations. The numbers felt honest. They didn't flatter or demand. Still, the work wasn't joy. Marin did it because someone had to, and because he believed, deep down, that responsibility was a kind of oath. When people imagined his job, they pictured him atop a great rock, commanding storms with a roar. Their fantasies painted him dramatic, salt-splashed, and free. The truth was a smaller, colder thing. Marin leaned over ink-stained tables, reconciling errors, soothing bureaucratic ripples. He rarely smelled the sea except through the window and the thin, steady smell of paper and ink. He tried, once, to take a different path. The council offered him a post among the explorers, a promise of new routes and sunsets. His chest tightened at the thought, not from fear of the unknown, but from the strange, heavy comfort of his ledger. Change felt like betrayal. Not to the tide, but to the version of himself who kept promises. So he refused, wrapped his hands again around the neat columns of numbers, and watched the explorers leave like gulls. Months folded into years. Marin's shoulders grew broader with habit. His face sharpened with a patience that hid a slow, inward erosion. His small satisfactions, the perfect balancing of an equation, the neatness of a stamped form, kept him afloat, but they were islands, not continents. One storm night, a boy washed up at his cliff, shivering and laughing at the absurdity of surviving. She had ink on her fingers where she'd tried to mend a torn map. Marin carried her to his office and made tea that tasted of the sea's first winter. She asked, simply, what he loved besides the ledger. The question landed like a stone. He had no ready answer. She'd taught him to listen for small things, the way a gull's cry shifted direction before a rain, the hush between waves where moons seemed to breathe. The next dawn, Marin walked down the cliff. He stepped into a boat for the first time in decades. The ledger sat heavy in his satchel. He opened it once and let a single page loose. It floated away like a white gull. He did not abandon duty entirely. He returned to numbers, but now the work was threaded with mornings at sea and afternoons of laughter. The ledger became a map to living, not a chain. Marin discovered that responsibility coupled with curiosity could be liberated, and that some oaths are meant to be rewritten. He learned that courage often looks like choosing small, steady joys. Responsibility is noble, but it shouldn't trap you. Ask yourself, what ledger are you holding on to that keeps you from small, steady joys? Pause this video and tell us in the comments one tiny step you'll take this week to reclaim joy. Your moment doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be yours.